Every single time you tap a screen, switch on your TV, or even just glance up at a billboard, you're stepping right into an invisible, highly calibrated architecture. We usually like to think of mass media as just a simple delivery system, right? Like a giant pipe pumping information, entertainment, and ideas straight into our daily lives. But if you strip away that simplistic view, well, it reveals a much more complex reality. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking the hidden mechanics of this massive ecosystem. We're going to look at it not as some static broadcast, but as an active, breathing architecture that literally shapes the very fabric of our society. So, let's start off with a pretty massive question. Do you consume the media, or does the media consume you? It is so tempting to view our daily media diet as a totally one-way street. We just sit back as passive observers, safely absorbing the world through our headphones and our social feeds. But the reality? It is way more dynamic than that. You aren't just some consumer sitting at the very end of an assembly line. You're actually a vital component of a continuous feedback loop. This machinery absolutely requires your input to function. Literally, the moment you engage, you become just as much a part of the mechanism as the content itself. Okay, so let's dive right into the mass media landscape and map out these channels. To understand how this machinery operates, we first have to recognize the sheer, staggering scale of the channels delivering this information. When you look at how we map modern mediums to their specific sociological functions, a totally fascinating pattern emerges. Different platforms are actually engineered to trigger completely different societal responses. Just contrast the traditional world of print with the frantic pace of digital networks. Historically, newspapers and magazines have been built for depth and analysis. They require a real cognitive investment, right? Now, pivot over to social media. The underlying architecture there is entirely different. It is optimized for interactive participation and immediacy. It thrives on instant feedback. Then you've got radio, offering this unique ambient immediacy. Advertisements relentlessly drive consumer behavior. The internet provides global connectivity on a massive scale. Television merges visuals and sound for unparalleled mass appeal. And films, they go way beyond just entertaining us to actually mold our deepest cultural narratives. Every single medium acts as a distinct sociological tool, and the sheer power of mass media, it lies in this synchronization. All these different channels are firing simultaneously, each one leveraging its unique function to capture a specific facet of human attention and behavior. And that brings us to the core engine of this entire ecosystem, the symbiotic relationship, this continuous push and pull. So what do we actually mean by symbiosis here? Well, it's defined as a relationship where media informs, entertains, and acts as a watchdog while society dictates its themes and trends. Look, the media obviously performs crucial duties, but the exact themes and trends that actually dominate those channels, those are directly dictated by our collective habits. Media organizations rely heavily on behavioral feedback. They are constantly monitoring engagement metrics, shifting viewing habits, and where we spend our money to figure out what gets produced next. Content isn't just created in a vacuum. It is entirely shaped by what we signal that we care about. One simply cannot exist without the other. Let's break down exactly how this continuous feedback loop operates, especially in the digital age where it moves at lightning speed. Think about a local event, like a community protest. Step 1. A news outlet pushes out a basic report to inform the public. They're acting as a watchdog. Step 2. Society consumes and reacts to this content. People start sharing it, adding their own commentary, creating hashtags, and driving up those engagement metrics on social platforms. And then, Step 3. Society's reactions literally dictate new trends right back to the media. The algorithms and editorial boards detect that massive spike in interest, so national networks pick the story up, pundits analyze it, and the issue gets amplified even more. You aren't just reading the news. Your clicks, your watch time, and your outrage are actively writing tomorrow's headlines. It is a totally self-sustaining cycle. But what happens when you push that symbiotic engine to its extremes? Is it unifying or polarizing society? It really is a double-edged sword. Because this system operates with such immense reach and velocity, the outcomes of this feedback loop can be pretty volatile depending on how the information is framed. On one hand, you have unification. During moments of national crisis or massive global triumphs, media has this incredible capacity to spread shared values and foster a sudden sense of solidarity among millions of disparate people. But on the exact same token, you have polarization. Through selective framing, where only highly specific, partisan angles of a story are presented, in the rapid spread of misinformation, that very same machinery can easily drive wedges between communities. Why? Because polarization is just highly engaging. Outrage keeps viewers glued to their screens and drives up those metrics. So, political campaigns and ideological networks often use this to amplify division rather than consensus. It's the exact same architecture utilizing the same channels, but yielding entirely opposite societal realities. This duality gets even more complex when we look at the overlapping context of mass media. In democratic contexts, the media's function is foundational. It has to drive accountability and transparency, acting as a vital watchdog over those in power. We need objective facts to govern ourselves. But here's the catch. Almost all of these channels simultaneously exist within commercial contexts. They are, at the end of the day, businesses. And in that commercial sphere, the machinery is relentlessly focused on driving consumerism, shaping lifestyle choices, and generating revenue. It creates this profound tension. When a news organization has to be an impartial democratic watchdog while also answering the commercial pressure to keep audiences continuously entertained, the line between vital public information and a sensationalized consumer product can get incredibly blurry. The context doesn't just change what we see, it alters the media's whole purpose. All right, let's bring all of this together in our conclusion: the ultimate mirror and molder. Navigating everything we just talked about forces us to confront what this system actually is. Our source material sums it up brilliantly with this quote: "Ultimately, mass media is both a mirror and a molder of society, shaping perceptions while reflecting collective realities." That duality right there is the absolute biggest takeaway. Mass media acts as a mirror because it reflects the themes, anxieties, and desires that already exist within our society. It shows us exactly who we are right now by reflecting our own engagement metrics back at us. But simultaneously, it acts as a molder. By choosing which reflections to amplify, which stories to frame, and which narratives to ignore, it actively shapes public opinion. It quietly molds the culture and the society we will become tomorrow. We create the media, and the media creates us right back. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought. Next time you scroll, ask yourself, are you seeing a reflection or are you being molded? This massive architecture requires your active participation to survive. The cycle never stops, and you are always a part of it. Keep that front and center in your mind next time you look at a screen.